Hi everyone, it's Natalie here at sanskritblue. This morning, it is morning, kind of early. I'm here with my coffee in a love mug today because at some point I'm going to have to go to work. I'm actually wearing scrubs, which I covered up a little bit with my little hoodie, which I'll probably wear to work anyway because it's air conditioned, it gets cold. But I got nothing but love for all of you. And for the coffee, because we all need it some days. So it is the Buddha's birthday coming up next week. So the full moon this month is what we call in Buddhism the Buddha's birthday. We celebrate it every year in May on the full moon. In the Tibetan tradition, it is called Saga Dawa. And it is a duchen or a drupchen where, there's usually a big, there's like a feast and there's all these rituals and various things that go on with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of butter lamps. And, it's really quite exquisite. Speaking of which, I forgot to light. I'm here to do a Buddhist thing and I did not light my candle. I pull the one from my offering when I change out the offering back there. There's always like one candle in the line. And when I change that out, I always usually put the used one, the one that's been sitting there for a long time or a few days, whatever it is, and put it in here and burn it over here because it's already been offered. So now it's lit. And I seem a little bit lit. So, all that aside, I'm here to talk about a new series of tarot spreads that I want to introduce to the community in honor of the Buddha's birthday. So something that I have personally found to be really useful and helpful to me on my tarot journey and my Buddhist journey is finding ways to combine the two. I was watching a video earlier this week by Jennifer Ball where she was talking about how she's, about her journey into Buddhism and about how she felt initially like, it might be cheating on her witchcraft practice to go into Buddhism. And I could really identify with that because I felt initially when I went back to the tarot that in some way I was cheating on my Buddhist practice. And something that has really come home to me very deeply over the last 2 years, a little over 2 years. Is it over 2 years? Really, I can say it's only been the last 6 months, let's say, the last 6 to 8 months that I've really understood there's no competition between the two at all. It is not in any way and never would have to be, never could be a competing practice. One benefits the other. So what I'm hoping to do here is to offer and share some of the things that I have understood about combining the two practices and the ways in which I have integrated them into my life and into my own practice of each. What I want to do is take a lot of the core foundational Buddhist principles and offer them as tarot spreads so that the tarot can begin to shed light on a lot of those practices and into ways in which we can integrate those into our lives and into ourselves. Because it's one thing that's, it's nice if it's like an idea, right? The idea that like, hey, there's Four Noble Truths, because that's obviously Four Noble Truths is what we're going to talk about today. That's so nice for the Four Noble Truths. There's suffering. It's real. We all suffer. Hey, that's great. In theory anyway, right? It's not really great to suffer ever. But, how do I actually, what the hell am I supposed to do with that? And that's a legitimate question. That's a legitimate question. How do I actually stop suffering so damn much, right? Because we all do. We all do. And I'm sorry to say that except for brief periods of time here and there, that doesn't really ever stop. But what stops eventually is the way in which we relate to it. So we can't change the fact that we will always experience pain, because we will. There's really no way to escape it, even though our brains are wired for us to find a way to escape it. We're still going to encounter it all the time, physically, emotionally. The ego has a lot of pain it carries around. It likes to find pain in places and really exacerbate it and then exaggerate it and, dramatize it and turn it into things it doesn't need to be, right? The ego has so much fun with those things. And what we can do is we can find better ways of relating to it, better ways of relating to ourselves as we experience pain. A lot of us are really accustomed to experiencing pain as having something wrong with us, right? There's something wrong with me if I'm suffering or if I'm experiencing pain, or there's a judgment about it, right? There's a judgment about someone else who's experiencing pain. Well, if they'd only XYZ, they wouldn't be in so much pain. Instead of coming back to the root of it, which is that we all experience pain. When you come back to the root of it, what do you get? Empathy, which is something we all need a lot more of, which is really the truth. And in any way possible, if we can find a way to experience more self-empathy, finding empathy for others becomes much easier, right? So, with that said, I'm going to leap in here and I'm going to share the practice and spread and demonstrate it and offer my own suffering up as something we can talk about. Right? What better way to do it? Okay, so here's probably where I'm going to bring the spread up on the screen in some form. And as you can see, there are we got the Four Noble Truths. So when I got ready to design this spread, I decided to Google. Because Googling will tell you things about what people encounter and what they find when they Google something, right? So I may have read or encountered this with a textbook or with a teacher. But, if you want to know more about it, you're going to Google it. And what else are you going to find but Wikipedia? So I decided to use what we find when we Google Wikipedia, because it's also from a very reputable source. And that always helps, right? So what we find here is this beautiful mantra that helps us remember what the name of, or what the Four Noble Truths really are. So in Pali, it is Dukkha, Samudaya, Nirodha, Marga, right? So that means basically we experience suffering, we have an origin of that suffering, there is a cessation to that suffering, and there's a path leading out of that that leads to the cessation of suffering. So the way that the Four Noble Truths spread looks is basically we have Dukkha, or this is pain. And what you will see if I scroll further down is that it means this is suffering. So how does the tendency to experience pain or suffering arise in my life? Then we have the origin of pain, or samudaya. And you'll notice that these are changed to reflect the tense, of what we're talking about. The origin of suffering, or samudaya. Then position 3 is Neroda, the cessation of suffering. This is what that would look like. And then finally, position 4 is Marga. This is the path leading to the cessation of suffering. So this is the next step on my own dharmic path. So I am going to give my cards a shuffle here. I'm so particular about the way I shuffle. Okay, so position 1 is Dukkha, right? So this is pain, or this is suffering. There's so much more to say about that. I may go on a little further thing about that at another time. But right now we're just going to do the spread. How does the tendency to experience pain or suffering arise in my life? Okay. What is the source of it right now? Ooh. Okay, so I'm laughing because I'm in a hanged man year right now, and I'm finding it very frustrating. So the source of pain and suffering right now for me is coming from my unwillingness to accept that what I need to do right now is stop pushing and stop forcing goals and ideas, or feeling like something's wrong all the time. And instead begin to accept that right now I'm in a state of transition. And that's so true on so many levels. So I may feel like I'm waiting or hanging upside down, or sometimes feeling a little bit frustrated because as I look at things from a different view and perspective, this is very true. I'm not always liking what I see. Right? When I flip things around and look at stuff from a different place, it really can bother me at moments. It's like, oh no, I wasn't even thinking of something from this perspective. It's really upsetting. What are the implications? What does that mean? And it could help if I turned off the news a little bit more, which I have been doing lately. Hence a lot more cheerful. Yeah, it's sometimes enough just to take the different perspective. It's sometimes enough just to submit and understand that I'm not in charge and my higher angel is, and just listen to what they tell me to do. Right? Yeah. But being frustrated right now with that is a big source of dukkha, which also sounds a little bit like dookie. So if you were thinking that, you're not alone. I've thought that too. And it helps me to remember suffering is shit. So there we go. So you're not alone. All right. So position 2, this is the origin of suffering. Samudaya. So what is the origin of this type of suffering? What is it in me that sees this pain and doesn't want to accept it, and it then creates suffering for me? Oh, look at that. It's ego. It's ego. It's because I want to rush to the goal. Right? I'm wanting to rush to the goal. I want to get to that place where I'm like, look, I did all these things and I've done all these things in my life. And now I have something to show for it. And it means something. And it means I'm important. And it means that I'm interesting. And it's worthwhile for people to invest in what I do, what I make, what I write, what I sell, what I offer, etc. It's also just that general sense, right? That if things are kind of like this, but I'm feeling inspired and I'm feeling like I want to move forward, and I've spent so much time in my life feeling this way and wanting to have this to show for the effort, yeah, that's hard. That's hard. So the origin of the suffering, I think I could say, is like it's hard to feel like I'm in a place where I don't have a lot to show, financially, especially, or in terms of resources, buy-in, I guess, or collaboration from others, etc., with others for for my journey. That's been tough. So that is the origin of the suffering. Okay, so moving on. And these are things I know. They're obviously things I'm a little aware of. It also helps to have that validated, right? So then position 3 is Neroda. So anybody who watches the the Mo divination every week. Nirodha is one of the words in the mantra that I chant. Nirodha evam vadi mahashramana soha. And it is about the cessation of suffering. So this is how it will look when this particular type of pain or suffering ceases within me and within my experience, right? When I've worked on this enough, this is how it will look. Okay. Ah, that's interesting. The Hermit. Wow. So, that's so fascinating. I think I will stop giving a shit what other people think. You know, I will be in a place where I'm not worried about what other people think. I will not be worried so much about whether what I'm doing right now is the right thing or not, and instead enjoy the light that comes from the journey itself, right? When I think of the Hermit too, I think of, especially, I'm seeing that a lot here with this Hermit, the tendency is for me to think of like the times of where my focus is really just on following the path, right? So it's meditation. It's, if we're finding that inner light and cultivating the inner light, it's the time that I spend cultivating the inner light and cultivating it to the degree that is the focus. Like you see how the little ghosty is looking right at the lantern, right? That's the light that matters. That's the light that matters, is the light that comes from the practice itself, not from any validation of it, right? Not from any sense that there's a place to go, a place to get to, or a result or an outcome, but just it's enough to be in the practice, which is the truth, right? That is the truth. That really is the truth. Wow. Okay. And then finally, Marga, or this is the path leading to the cessation of suffering. So this would be like the next step, right? So we're to say, this is what it'll look like when you get here, but here's how you get there. Sometimes it's a thought, sometimes it's an idea, sometimes it's an action. We'll find out which one it is coming up next. So I'm going to take a deep breath. Oh, look at that. Wow. The Ten of Cups came up for my weekly reading this week. That's so interesting. I've just got a little sip of coffee here. Yeah, the Ten of Cups came up as like a major focus for the week this week, interestingly. And the Hanged Man came up as a big one last week. So the Ten of Cups, so the path leading out of suffering, there's so much there. So much about just appreciating the fullness and the richness of my own experience. The fullness and richness of everything I have right now, the way things are right now. That's a very much like a present moment. You know, the beauty you seek is in the present moment where you have everything you need. There is nothing lacking. Yeah. I think it's Thich Nhat Hanh, I'm pretty sure it is, in fact, who talks at length about why the present moment, practicing present moment awareness as a mindfulness practice is so crucial, because the mind will want to go directly to the source or the cause, or what we believe the source or cause of our suffering is. And so much of the time, that's not what it is. What's causing us to suffer is our unwillingness to just simply be here now, which is Ram Dass, by the way. But you know that, yeah, that's a large portion of it. If I say, If I sit here in this moment and think about what's happening, it's beautiful. The sun is shining. I'm hearing the contented, deep breathing of my dog, who's calm and relaxed in the next room and just happy that I'm here with him and not at work yet. I have a Trinley in the window. I can hear birds. The temperature's comfortable. I have coffee. I can smell my anointing oil in my hands and my body, where I put it over my heart and throat. I have coffee. I can hear birds. And I realize just now I'm not completely in my body because there's part of me pulling like, get the day started. You've got to go do these things right now. You've got to go do the next thing, which is okay. But as I prepare for that next thing, I can also feel my feet on the floor inside my Birkenstocks. Feel my butt on my chair or on my seat. Feel that my posture is not the best at this moment, but I don't have to judge it. So I'm just experiencing it as posture, like how is my body sitting? It's kind of feeling tired. It's feeling kind of a little weighty, a little weighed down. But all of it is really quite nice. All of it indicates ease. All of it indicates privilege. All of it indicates alignment, that things are the way they should be. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. So, present moment awareness. So there we go. So there is that. That's it. That's it. That is the Four Noble Truths spread. I'll probably speak more about it at some point. Maybe try it again with a different deck. I'm sure I will probably create a hashtag for it, which will be linked with the video. And while I'm editing, I'll see if I can remember to put it down here. Yeah. So, there we are. I still haven't decided. I've written up a whole big thing with commentary. Obviously, I've created the imagery, the image for the spread. So at some point, I may make that available or put it up on Instagram. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see what I have time for because, there's a lot of this right now. There's a lot of this. So, yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much if you're still here. And I will see you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.